everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Sunday night, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure you give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so, and please share the video on all social media platforms. I've got a PSA, I guess you can call it, for Clemson fans coming up at the end of this video. Something irked me over the weekend, and it was just a few Clemson fans, but it absolutely drove me crazy. Good evening, Keveron. Thank you so much for stopping by here on this Sunday night. And you say go Tigers, and as always, every day is a good day to be a Clemson fan. But of course, the NCAA March Madness tournament bracket came out earlier tonight. We've got to talk about that sometime this week. Of course, it's going to be before Thursday when the actual tournament starts. I don't count the play-in games as tournament games because if you're playing your way into the tournament, you ain't there yet. So we'll talk about that before Thursday when the actual tournament starts. Hey there, Austin. Glad to have you here. But tonight, my main topic is briefly going to be about WrestleMania because, of course, it's still over a month away. But before I talk about that, let me say that if you were not at 244 Livestock Road, East Denali, Georgia, last night, you missed a fantastic show between CMW and PWF. It was called Major Impact. We had two TV tapings last night. The next show for CMW and PWF is coming up 2 weeks from last night on March 29th, when we will be in Greenville, South Carolina. The last night was a phenomenal show, and they are in the process of getting a Roku channel. When that happens, I will let everybody know so that if you want to go on there and watch some CMW and PWF wrestling, you can do that. And Austin, as always, my day has been absolutely fantastic. But WrestleMania being about a month away, they've only announced 4 for sure matches that we know are going to happen. Hey there, Mad Jack. Glad to have you here. And that is Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the undisputed WWE Championship. Gunther versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte for the Women's WWE Championship. And Io Sky versus Bianca Belair for the Women's World Championship. And I appreciate that, Mad Jack, because I am a very nice man. I try to be. I'm like everybody else. I'm not perfect. Things perturb me. Things aggravate me. Things irritate me like everybody because I am human. But all in all, I'm an awesome fella. Nice guy as well. So I appreciate you saying that. But those are the 4 matches they've already came out and said are gonna happen. But now, of course, it's looking like we're gonna have Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. And it's looking like, hey there, Oppo. Glad to have you here. We're gonna have Naomi versus Jade Cargill or something along those lines. They may add Bayley. I'm not sure. But it looks like those 2 matches are definitely for sure going to happen. But, of course, by the time WrestleMania gets here, there's going to be 12, 13, 14 matches, both nights combined, probably 7 or 8 both nights. But so far, those are the only 4 that we have. But I'd be shocked if we don't have Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens and some kind of combination with Jade and Naomi, and of course, there's also going to be some kind of tag team match because you can't have WrestleMania and not have a tag team championship match. We did just see those titles change hands, though. But I always look forward to WrestleMania, but I really don't personally recall WrestleMania ever being this late in the calendar. Maybe it has, and I'm just not remembering correctly because I don't write this stuff down. I just go by memorization. But as far back as I can remember, at least off the top of my head, WrestleMania is always the last weekend in March or the first weekend in April. This year it's not until the third weekend in April. So maybe it's been that late before, but I don't remember. But from what I can recall, it's always the end of March, 1st of April. So it seems like the build-up this year between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania is taking so long because WrestleMania is so late on the calendar this year. But my PSA for Clemson fans is something that perturbed me, and that is only if you watched the conference tournament basketball games. Clemson lost to Louisville the other night. No shame on that. Louisville's a really, really, really good basketball team, so it's not like they lost to some nobody. Thank you there, Mad Jack. I'm just a Southern boy, been here all my life, so I try not to use the Southern slangs, the Southern words, because a lot of them are either made up or, in my opinion, just sound like you're ignorant. But I can't help the accent because I've lived here all my life, so I can't hide it. Some like it, some don't, but it's there. I can't deny it. So I appreciate you saying you like it instead of you saying that you hate it because I can't change it. They played Louisville, and I watched the game, and they played like absolute dog doo-doo for the first 35 minutes of the game. As a matter of fact, with about 9 minutes to go in the game, I said, this game's over because you can't play somebody as good as Louisville and get behind by 12, 13, 14 points that late in the game and come back and win. It just doesn't happen. So I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to finish watching this game, but this game's over. And sure enough, Clemson lost, but there was a couple of calls late in the game that went against Clemson. And there was 3 different posts that I saw on Facebook from 3 different Clemson fans that were whining about the officiating. And on all 3 of them's comment, I got on there and told them, hey, I don't want to hear it. You don't play like absolute dog doo-doo for 35 minutes and then lose the game and blame the refs. I'm sorry. The refs didn't make you play like doo-doo. That was your own fault. If you don't play like that for so long and get that far behind, that missed call late in the game doesn't matter. And I've said on here numerous times that referees have never cost anybody a game. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that. To me, that's a sissy mentality, because if you get that in your mind and you get that in your head, you can live by the mentality of your team never loses because every time they win, they're the better team. When they lose, oh, the refs cost them. So basically, in other words, your team don't lose. You either win because you're better or you lose because of the refs. So in your mind and your mentality, your team never ever loses. And one of them, I even had to go back and forth with for a while, and I told him, look, dude, Clemson fans can't get on social media and make fun of other fan bases for blaming the refs, and then at the same time, you get on social media and you blame the refs. You're not no better than any other fan base if you're doing the same thing those fan bases do. So the next time another fan base complains about refs, don't make fun of them because you're doing that. And of course, he said, well, this is different. No, it's not. It's the same thing. Blaming the refs is blaming the refs. You can't twist it and turn it no other way, make it sound no different. Blaming the refs is blaming the refs. You don't do that. That's a loser mentality. And I finally told him, look, dude, you're never going to change my mind. I have never, in all my years of watching sports, any sport, have I ever thought that the refs cost any team a game. I'm sorry. I don't believe that. They're human just like everybody else. Do they make mistakes? Absolutely. Do they mess up? Absolutely. But so do the players. You can't, as a player on a team, make 75 mistakes in a game and then overlook that and take that one missed call by the ref and say, that's why we lost. No, it's not. If you would have made 71 mistakes instead of 75 mistakes, that one missed call by the ref wouldn't have mattered. I'm sorry, that ain't why you lost. And Dawn Staley even came out one time and said, I don't argue with officials because the more time I spend arguing with officials, the less I trust my players. And basically, what she's saying is if you go to the refs and you fuss at those refs for a missed call, then you're telling your players that you don't trust them to make up for that one mistake that ref made. And I thought, you know what? That's probably one of the smartest things I've ever heard a coach say. And I'm not even a Gamecock fan, but that makes me appreciate Dawn Staley for saying that because you always hear all the fans, all the players, and all the coaches wanting to blame the refs. And she said the opposite. The more time I spend fussing with them, the less I trust my players. And more coaches and more fans should be just like that. So my PSA for Clemson fans is don't be like other fan bases. Don't get on social media and sit here and whine and moan and groan and complain because the referee missed a call. Oh, well, it's going to happen. There ain't never in the history of mankind in any sport been a game where a ref, an umpire, an official, whatever you want to call them, ain't missed a call because it's going to happen. Oh, well, suck it up and move on. It's up to you to fix it, not the refs. They're out there to do a job. And more than that, when they miss a call, just say, you know what? They missed it. And stop this. Oh, they're out to get us. Every fan base in the history of mankind, in the history of all the times, in any sport, all they want to do is talk about they're out to get us. They're out to get us. They're out to get us. And yes, Austin, by the way, I will be watching WrestleMania. Of course, everybody watches WrestleMania. And the reason why fans, Austin, bring up the refs is because for some reason 95% of fans don't ever want to admit that their team loses. They want to live in this unicorn world that doesn't exist, that's not out there, and convince themselves that their team never loses. And every time their team loses, it's because of the refs. And when you live like that, your team's never going to get better. Why should they get better? Why improve? They didn't lose because they played bad. They didn't lose because the other team was better. They lost because the refs cost them. So why should we improve? We did no wrong. And that's why you shouldn't live by that mentality. But 95% of fans don't want to come out and say, hey, you know what? We just got beat. They want to blame the refs. And that's why, even though it's more exciting to watch a competitive game, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, it doesn't matter. It's more exciting to watch it when it's more competitive, but it's actually better in the long run when it's a blowout. Because if you watch a football game and one team wins 45-7, then the fans basically got to sit back and say, you know what? We just got beat. I mean, we got beat 45-7. We got beat in every phase of the game. Their offense was better. Their defense was better. Their coaching was better. Their special teams was better. We just got beat. But if you get beat 45-41, then those fans are going to say, well, that ref missed that holding call, and that cost us that game. So even though it's better to watch when the game's competitive, it's actually better in the long run when a game's a blowout. That way you do not have to hear the fans whine about the refs. And refs are going to miss calls, but I've never understood why people always say, oh, they missed it because they're out to get us. Those refs are getting paid to do a job. They don't give a darn who wins. They're out there to do their job. Believe me, I was a baseball umpire at one time, and I can promise you, I spent all that time in the locker room, and I never, not one time, heard no coach or no opposing fan or no opposing official ever come in that locker room and say, well, guys today, make sure they win. Make sure he does good. It never happened. So I can tell you from personal experience, it does not happen. The referees do not care who wins. They don't give a crap who wins. Their paycheck is signed to go out there and do a job, and they don't make extra money because a certain team wins. They don't care. And what folks don't think about is in every sport, these referees have a full-time job that they do outside of being a baseball umpire, a football referee, a basketball referee. They have a full-time job that they do, and that's not going on. They have to take time away from their job to go be a referee or an umpire. And then when they do that job during that season, they get graded every single game. And at the end of the season, the referees that get the best grade are the ones that get to referee the basketball playoffs, the football Super Bowl, the baseball playoffs. So the better you do, the more games you officiate. The more games you officiate, the more money you make. So if they miss a call, they just missed it because they're human. Because obviously they want to get a good grade, so when the regular season ends, they can keep going. So that tells you they don't give a crap who wins. They're out there to do their job, and they're calling it like they see it. But if you've ever sat back and watched a game with somebody, you can sit back and watch a football play with three people and watch one play, and all three people will see that play differently. So if you're watching football with a couple buddies and all three of y'all watch the same play and you all three saw it differently, well, guess what? If all those refs are watching that same play, all those refs also see that play differently. So if one says this and one says that, you know what? That's the same thing that you were saying on your couch. So they're saying the same thing there in person that you're saying on your couch. So if they miss a call, they just missed a call. I was listening to NASCAR radio a few weeks back. I think everybody knows by now that I love NASCAR, and they were talking about some of the controversial decisions in NASCAR. And Jeff Hammond, who's been involved in NASCAR for what seems like 75 years, was talking about how fans are, and he went off of NASCAR and got in baseball. And he said, you know what? NASCAR fans are just like baseball fans. In the baseball world, you've got probably 5 to 10% of baseball fans that if they watch a game and an umpire misses a call, they're going to say, okay, he just missed that one. But the other 90%, if you watch a ball and it goes right down the middle and it's clearly a strike, but that umpire calls it a ball, almost every baseball fan is going to say, oh, that ump's out to get us. No, he just missed a call. For some reason, people don't understand that umpires and referees are humans. I don't know why they don't understand that concept, but for some reason, people think when you officiate, umpire, and referee that you don't make any mistakes. I've never understood it, and I never will. And when you mess up, you didn't mess up because you're human. You messed up because, oh, you're out to get us. You want to see us lose. That is the biggest bunch of hogwash rigmarole I've ever heard in my life. Hey there, Dog Love. Glad to have you here. You came on just in time to see me finish my rant. So my PSA for Clemson fans is, don't be like other fan bases. Don't ever blame a referee because your team got beat. They just missed a call. But a basketball game is 40 minutes long. You've got 40 game minutes to play good. And if you play good and play to your ability, 1 or 2 missed calls by the referee will not cost you that game. But you can't make 975 mistakes during a basketball game and then lose because the ref made 2. Guess what? If the ref made 2 and you made 900, you made 898 more than he did. So guess what? Your mistakes was way more than his mistakes. He messed up because he's human, just like your team is human. You got beat. Get over it. Do better next time. Well, let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Why do they call it rush hour when nothing moves? And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of three. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.